Alright, howdy. Hello, my name's Ian, and if you're not familiar with this series, we take a look at some of the stats behind guns in Call of Duty, so that instead of just believing what every big Call of Duty YouTuber claims to be the best class, you can decide for yourself and play the game how you'd like. Starting with a brief overview, because let's be honest, we all have the attention span of a goldfish. These are my goldfish, by the way. Their names are Keck and Chunk, and yes, they can predict the stock market better than you can. Alrighty, looking at a brief overview, the Icarus is unlocked by using the M4 until level 18. The Icarus is the lightest weight LMG, if that makes any sense. It has great mobility. The gun feels like it's the beefed up M4's older brother that decided to do some juicing in college, but stopped before it became too powerful. Low damage compared to other LMGs, but it has a high rate of fire to make up for it. Overall, the Icarus is a great weapon in multiplayer, and I think an even better one in Warzone. Now then, if that synopsis didn't tickle your pickle, stick around for the video and let's take a closer look at some stats. Hey, what's going on YouTube? Just had to take a quick pause. I noticed editing that I'm speaking pretty quickly in a lot of these areas. I get nervous when I record these videos. I don't know why. I don't have a big phobia of public speaking, but I just wanted to apologize for that. If it is too quick at times, lower it to 0.75. I do my best to have all the important stats show up on your screen, so even if I'm speaking too quickly for you to understand, you should get all the information you need to know. So, back to the video. Thanks. Looking at some damage stats and ranges, it's going to do 34 damage to the body up until 24 meters, dropping down to 26 at 40 meters, and then finally 24 at 40 plus meters. However, unlike the M4 assault rifle, the Icarus does have different body damage values, but not really. I'll explain a little bit about that later. At most ranges, on average, the arms and legs and lower torso do between 2 to 3 less damage, with the arms and legs being the least. What that means for you is that the Icarus feels similar to the M4, very consistent across all ranges. Now, this also means that across all ranges, body shots to the torso and head will kill faster than only leg shots, so keep that in mind. Speaking of shots to kill, assuming you hit the torso shots, the Icarus will be a 3-shot weapon until 24 meters, then 4 to 40, and then it goes all the way down to 5 at 40 plus meters. Looking at headshots, the 5.56 Icarus has about a 1.4x headshot multiplier, which helps at close range, but it will still take 3 shots to kill. However, at farther distances, going for headshots will help because it means that you need 1 shot less to kill. The gun also has 779 rounds per minute, which is slightly slower than the 811 RPM of the M4, but the higher damage and magazine capacity easily make up for it, especially at close to mid-range, which is much better than a lot of the other LMGs. Bullet velocity for this gun is 700 meters per second, which is faster than the M4 and all other assault rifles, but slower than a lot of the LMGs. On average, they're around 700 meters per second, but a few have a little bit faster muzzle velocity at 730 meters per second. Alright, so looking at mobility with the Icarus, it has the fastest ADS time of any LMG, which makes sense. It's supposed to be. It feels like a beefed up M4, but doesn't quite feel like a proper LMG. Now, the ADS time is going to be 370 milliseconds. Like I said, is going to be the fastest, but it still has the same sprint to fire and tactical sprint to fire of every other LMG, being 250 milliseconds and 375 milliseconds. But how does this feel while using the gun? Well, quick, and especially with ADS positive attachments, the Icarus 5.56 really does feel like a big M4. I know I said that in the beginning of this video, but it's the best way I can describe it. Movement penalty of this gun is just like every other LMG in the game. Your movement speed with LMGs is going to be 4.26 meters per second. Now, this probably doesn't make any sense, so for some frame of reference, the M4 is slightly faster at 4.65 meters per second, and the FFS Hurricane even slightly faster at 4.79 meters per second. Now, for the most part, all guns in the game, according to class, have the same according movement speed. I just used the examples of the Hurricane and the M4 because that's the same gun family tree. Reload times on this gun are on the slower end, but not the slowest. Now, regular reload is going to be 5.67 seconds if there's still ammunition left, and 6.47 seconds if fully empty. Given that it is a belt-fed magazine, this makes sense, but is faster than other belt-fed LMGs in Modern Warfare. Finally, quickly touching on recoil patterns because it's all different in this game. There's a lot of variation, but for the most part, it's going to be mostly vertical for about 25 shots, to then which they're going to start to pull towards the right. It's still going to mostly be vertical, but it's going to slowly start moving towards the right. So keep that in mind during your gunfights, and you should have no problem with the recoil of this gun. Moving on to some of my thoughts on the weapon and where it fits in the game, it fits very well if you treat it like a light LMG, which I think makes this gun more competitive in Warzone than people get credit for. ARs in Warzone don't have the same oomph that they used to, you know what I'm saying? So build this gun for mobility and accuracy, and you might just find yourself liking it more than the M4. Hey, it saves you a magazine attachment. Comparing it to other LMGs though, overall, don't think or compare this gun to something like the Recoil that favors high damage and is very effective against vehicles and helicopters. The Icarus is obviously great against them, but I feel it's more suited using that attachment elsewhere to promote it being a lighter weight LMG. So with the Icarus having naturally better mobility, slightly lower damage than LMGs, but great for ARs, which like I said is really how this gun should be looked at, a heavy AR. Let's take a look at a class that I built that I found a lot of success with. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so looking at the class that I found a lot of success with, we're going to be going with your choice of optic. I like using the Cronin Mini red dot. Tuning on this is just going to be full in-down sights and then have the eye position farther. I'll show you what I mean with this. It pretty much just means that your position is farther away and it makes the recoil a lot easier to control. This is something I found useful and hopefully you guys will as well. Next we're going with the Ravage 8 stock. No tuning on this, or no tuning on any of these attachments really. It's up to you, but I'm not messing with them too much. With this, we're getting better aim down sights, crouch movement speed, and sprint speed. This is really helpful to keep the LMG maneuverable. We want to highlight that mobility. Next, we're going with the X10 grip. Again, maneuverability, aim down sights, sprint to fire speed. The recoil on this gun is very controllable to begin with. And with the F-Tac Ripper 56 that we're using as the underbarrel, it's going to keep the recoil controllable and keep the mobility high. And then finishing out just high velocity ammunition for those farther range gunfights. Now, if you were going to do this class in Warzone, potentially put on the long range barrel and a silencer. But this isn't Warzone, so we don't need that crazy range. So this is a class I found a lot of success with. Leave me a comment down below with what you find success with, and I'll have to try it out. I'm really curious to what you guys try. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching, and stick around for the next one. Have a good night.